He owned nothing, not a coin, not a piece of land, not even the clothes on his back. Those were borrowed. He was the poorest man in his entire village. People laughed at him. Children threw stones at him. The governor of his city once said, "That man will die in the same dirt he was born in." He was right about one thing. Elias did die in the dirt. But before he died, he changed something. Something so small that nobody noticed at first. Something so quiet that no history book recorded it. But today, 2 billion people on this earth live differently because of what he did. Not a king, not a general, not a rich man, just a poor carpenter with one idea and the stubbornness to never let it go. Stay with me, because this story will make you look at your own life and realize you are not too small, you are not too poor, you are not too ordinary to change everything. The year was 32 AD. In a small, dusty village on the edge of the ancient world lived a man named Elias. He was 28 years old, a carpenter, but not a successful one. His hands were skilled. His work was good, but nobody hired him because Elias had a problem. He could not stop talking, not about meaningless things, about one thing, one idea, an idea so strange, so impossible, that everyone who heard it laughed. His idea was this: what if every child, rich or poor, slave or free, could learn to read? That was it. That was his great idea. In a world where reading was the exclusive privilege of the wealthy, where slaves were forbidden by law from learning, where poor children worked the fields from age 5, Elias believed that knowledge belonged to everyone, not just the rich, not just the powerful, everyone. The merchants laughed at him. The priests dismissed him. Governor Crassus, the most powerful man in the region, heard about Elias once and said, "Educate the poor, next they will want to vote." He laughed for a long time at his own joke. Elias was not laughing. He had tried everything. He had asked the wealthy for support. He had petitioned the temple. He had written letters, which took him 3 months because he had no ink, and nobody wrote back. He had a wife, Miriam, 26 years old, who believed in him completely, not because she was naive, but because she had seen him teach. Once, just once, she had watched him gather 5 poor children under an olive tree, and in 2 hours, 3 of them had learned their first word. She never forgot their faces, the shock of understanding arriving, like a lamp being lit in a dark room. She said to him that night, "Don't stop." Just that. Don't stop. And he didn't. With no money and no support, Elias did the only thing he could do. He started anyway. Every morning, before sunrise, he would find a flat piece of stone, scratch letters into it with another sharp stone, and wait. Under the old olive tree at the edge of the village. The first day, 2 children came, curious more than anything else. The second day, 4. By the end of the first week, 11. Poor children, children of slaves, children who had never held a writing tool in their lives. Elias had no paper, no ink, no scrolls. He taught them to write in the dirt with sticks. He taught them letters using shapes they already knew. A snake for the letter S, a door for D, a mountain for M. He made learning from nothing, because he had nothing. Word spread, not to powerful people, to poor ones. Mothers started sending their children. Fathers who worked the fields from dawn to dusk would come themselves at night, exhausted, hands calloused, sitting in the dirt under the olive tree, learning to read by moonlight. Within 3 months, Elias had 40 students. Within 6 months, 100. He had no building, no chairs, no equipment, just an olive tree, a piece of flat stone, and the belief that every person who learned to read became permanently, irrevocably freer. The governor heard about it and was not laughing this time. Governor Crassus sent soldiers, not to arrest Elias. That would make him a martyr. Something more clever? They came on a Tuesday morning when Elias had 60 children gathered under the olive tree. The soldiers did not raise their weapons. They simply stood, watching. The children scattered. The mothers pulled their sons and daughters away. Within 5 minutes, the olive tree stood empty. The soldiers left. Elias sat alone under the tree for a very long time. Then he picked up his stone and wrote one word in the dirt: tomorrow. The next morning, he was back under the olive tree, alone for an hour. Then one child came, then 3, then 10. The soldiers came again. The children scattered again. Elias was back the next morning. This happened 17 times, 17 mornings. Soldiers came, children scattered. Elias returned. On the 18th morning, something changed. The children did not scatter. They saw the soldiers coming, and they sat down. All 40 of them, children as young as 5, sitting in the dirt, looking at their lesson stones, refusing to move. The lead soldier stopped, looked at 40 children sitting calmly in the dirt, looked at Elias. Elias looked back. The soldier turned around and left. That day was the last day the soldiers came. Elias never knew why. He never found out that the soldier had a daughter who could not read and who had asked him that very morning at breakfast to teach her a letter. He had no answer for her. He did not know how. So, when he saw Elias, he walked away, because some things are stronger than orders. 10 years passed. Elias was 38 years old, still poor, still living in the same small house, still wearing patched robes. But something had changed. The children who had sat under his olive tree had grown up, and they had done something extraordinary. They had taught others. One student, a girl named Leah, had moved to a neighboring village and started her own school under a different tree. Another student, a boy named Marcus, had taught his entire family, his mother, his 3 brothers, his elderly grandmother, who learned to read at age 70 and wept when she read her first full sentence. Another student, a former slave named Joseph, had been freed and used his literacy to write a letter to a judge, challenging an unjust law. He won. Small things, all of them small. A village school here, a family learning there, a letter that changed one law, a grandmother weeping over one sentence. Nobody was writing about it. Nobody noticed, but Elias noticed. One evening, Miriam found him sitting outside their house, looking at the stars, crying, not from sadness. She had never seen him cry like this. Quietly, peacefully, like someone who had finished something. "What is it?" she asked. He pointed to the village across the valley, where a light was burning late, someone reading. "I taught the person who taught the person," he said slowly. "Who is reading that light?" Miriam looked at the distant light, then at her husband, the poorest man in the village, in his patched robe, in the dirt, who had just described a chain of light stretching across the valley. She took his hand, and they sat together, watching someone read far away, in the dark. Elias died at the age of 62, in the same small house, in the same village, still poor. His funeral was attended by 11 people, his wife, 4 neighbors, 6 former students. No governor came, no priest gave a speech, no monument was built. The olive tree where he taught was cut down 3 years later to make room for a road. Nobody recorded his name in any official document. Nobody wrote his story. Nobody remembered him, except the people he had taught, and the people they had taught, and the people they had taught. One of Elias's students, Leah, taught a girl named Sarah. Sarah taught her son Benjamin. Benjamin became a scribe and taught 100 others. One of those 100 taught a child in a distant city. That child grew up and wrote down an idea that spread, because it was written, because it could be read, because Elias had believed 30 years earlier, under an olive tree, that every person deserved to read. Here is what historians will never tell you. Every great idea that was ever written down, every revolution that was ever organized, every law that was ever challenged, every child who ever learned that they were more than the circumstances of their birth, exists because somewhere, in every generation, there was an Elias, someone with nothing, who gave everything, not to be remembered, but because it was right. His name is gone, his tree is gone, his house is gone, but you, reading this, in whatever language, on whatever screen, are the proof that he existed, because you can read, and somewhere in the long chain of every person who taught every person, who taught every person, who taught you, there was a poor man under a tree, with a flat stone and a stick, who refused to stop. If this story moved you, share it with someone, because sharing a story is exactly what Elias would have wanted. Subscribe to Untold True Stories, because the world has forgotten too many people like him. See you in the next one.